The Eclipse Mirror's tooltip is, its reflection shows naught but darkness, which interestingly should make it useless as an actual mirror. Its two precursors, the Mirage Mirror and Abyssal Mirror, seem to hint at the same effect, but aren't as explicit. Calamity weapons have sell prices based on their rarity, from 10 silver for white rarity weapons up to 40 gold for hot pink. There are exceptions, of course, such as Drayden's Arsenal rarity and of course the Mirasama. The Mirasama sells for 50 gold in-game despite being rarity 15, or Violet, which should sell for 30 gold. There might be more exceptions, but there's like a trillion weapons in this mod and I'm not looking through them all. Despite the normality relocator stating that fall speed is doubled for 30 frames after teleporting, the maximum fall speed is actually increased by 3.5 times. I'm not sure about the acceleration though. Dramatized alchemical symbols are used to illustrate the enchantments found in the game. For example, a flame uses a symbol for fire, which makes sense. Meanwhile, ephemeral uses a symbol for air, and resentful uses a symbol for the moon. There's a whole explanation on the wiki, which I won't be getting into, but you can read it if you like. The projectile name for the Proton Ripper is the extraordinarily cost-inefficient chainsaw, and the Prism Tooth uses the function absolutely f***ing annihilate trees. The Dragonfall used to be called the Bumbleburb, and is still internally referred to as Bumblefuck, as based off the original name of the boss. Maybe the use of the word f*** refers to its rapid and public reproduction. The Withered debuff heavily resembles the similar debuff found in Minecraft, down to the buff icon and death message. Prior to the addition of Miracle Matter, Orc Bars used to be a nightmare to craft. This insane list of items has since been reduced down to just Yarn Soul Fragments and Orc Ore. I remember on my recent playthrough of Calamity V1.4, I had a heart attack seeing this recipe, so I'm glad it's been replaced. In extremely old versions of Calamity, such as those from early 2019, the suspicious-looking jellybean used to sell for 20 platinum. This meant farming Astrum Aureus post-Moonlord was an extremely efficient way to make money. The Elephant Killer used to do an extra 4% of life per hit to organic targets and had no shot limit per fight in February 2019. Likewise, the Bazooka did an extra 5% of max life per hit on inorganic targets. Hectique used it in a speedrun, and I also used it to f***ing demolish Yar on my first playthrough, as the Jellybean allowed me to basically print money. This was fixed along with the Jellybean in version 1.4.2.002, reducing the Jellybean's sell price to 20 gold and setting a cap on the weapons, as well as raising their ammo prices by a bunch. This same 1.4.2.002 update is also the same update that reduced Halibut Cannon drop rates to the lowest, at 0.001% for most enemies. Eutrophic Sand's name is a reference to the process of eutrophication, where water is heavily enriched with nutrients. In real life, eutrophication generally leads to algal blooms, which can be harmful due to them dragging down dissolved oxygen in the water and blocking light. Thanks, apes. The Astrial Defeat's name is a portmanteau of Astrial and Ethereal, and is possibly the most annoying portmanteau in the existence of portmanteaus. Seraph Tracer's Seraph has two meanings. Seraphims are the highest rank of angels in Christianity, and the word Seraph by itself means burning one, which makes sense concerning the wings of the boots. Unlike the set of Calamity dropped from Clonematus, the Calamitous set dropped from Supreme Calamitous consists of 3 pieces, not just 2. The Flawless modifier for rogue weapons increases the weapon's value by the most, just over tripling it, with an increase of 209.85%. Calamitous seems not to be a fan of parties, with her dislike of the party girl and willingness to incinerate any partygoer that annoys her displayed in her dialogue. With an acceleration of 72 feet per second squared, or around 2.23 Gs, the Car of Gods handily beats the puny 1.4 Gs of acceleration that the mechanical cart provides. It takes 2.28 seconds for the Car of Gods to reach its max speed of 112 miles an hour, versus 3.3 seconds for the mechanical cart to hit 102 miles an hour. In early 2019, Auric ore was originally directly used to craft Auric items. Today, they sit at 12 ore to a bar, still by far the most costly bar in Calamity. The Metastasis tooltip is a contemplated possible future of the Cosmic Serpent, a gruesome warning for those blinded by hunger for power. It insists that the Sepulchre is what the Devourer of Gods becomes if it strives for more power than it can handle. This is opposed to the now removed future bosses, which were to be more powerful bosses if they were not killed by the player. In this case, the Devourer of Universes appeared normally in his final form. Of course, I don't expect lore continuity like this over so many years. Lola was an accessory dropped by Serene Calamitous if you beat her after being killed 3 times before. It would kill you instantly as long as you didn't have iframes, but if your name was Fabsoul, you would become invincible, excluding debuffs and insta-kills. In modern versions of the mod, it is unobtainable but retains its invincibility functionality. According to Revengeance mode, it's the intended Calamity experience. Technically, Yarn is a pre-Moonlord boss, as the Dragonfall can be fought without any post-Moonlord material. If you can beat the hard fight before the Moonlord, the Effulgent Feathers are enough to make the Jungle Dragon Egg. This is why if you look closelier, the official Calamity Wiki doesn't refer to Yarn as a post-Moonlord boss like they do with the Devourer, but as a major boss, which is more accurate. Similarly, as the Eidolon tablet can be dropped by Idolists as early as hard mode, it is possible to skip to lunar events early if you can manage to kill Cultist early. Boss Zen or Boss Effects is multiple times more powerful than the Zen potion. While Zen decreases spawn rates by 60% and spawn count by 70%, Boss Zen reduces spawn rate by 80% and spawn count by 99.9%. Basically stopping spawns. Both Icarus's Folly and Weak Petrification share very similar buff icons and effects, even though the latter has a much stronger effect, despite it being from an earlier boss. The Particle Accelerator was originally the advanced crafting station in Calamity, usurping both the hard mode Forge and hard mode Anvil after Megs. It was replaced with the post-Dog Drayden's Forge. Nowadays, Drayden's Forge was moved to Endgame, and Cosmic Anvil has taken its place as post-Dog. Angiogenesis in the Bloodfin tooltip refers to the process of blood vessels being formed from existing blood vessels. This seems to have become a problem for the Bloodfin itself. Sirius is named after the brightest star in the night sky, Sirius. This is despite it being an upgrade from the Sun God Staff, and as you probably know, the sun is slightly brighter than Sirius from Earth. Then again, it says night sky, so it gets a pass. And I guess Sirius is brighter in terms of absolute magnitude. The Wolfram Drill is the only pre-hard mode drill in Calamity, the same power as a copper pickaxe. When dying from alcohol poisoning in Calamity, the death message can say that your liver failed, which is quite humorous. Another humorous death message is suffer from severe anemia, or unable to obtain a blood transfusion, which is shown when you died from the health trickle while using the blood boiler, a flamethrower that ostensibly uses your own blood. Part of the Yanmei's knife's tooltip is apparently a poem written by a Calamity Mod beta tester about the knife's namesake, Yanmei. It is not put into the tooltip verbatim. The Relic of Deliverance only has a maximum range of around 6,000 blocks, meaning that an entire large world cannot be traversed while riding this weapon. Ancient Godslayer armor is purely a vanity set, unlike vanilla Ancient armor sets which are all as functional as their normal counterparts. It also has Dark Blue rarity, which should be for post-Dog items. As a Sentinel drop, it should be turquoise or dark green. Many of the fishing rods have quotes or excerpts as their tooltips, with the exception of the Versatile type fishing rod, which is a description, and the Devourer of Cods, which is a pun. Despite Warped being a debuff, it doesn't actually decrease anything, but just increases your vertical acceleration. I guess this could throw you off a bit, but personally I don't see any issue with this. There are two Wither debuffs in Calamity. The aforementioned Wither debuff is inflicted by the enchantment, and the second Wither debuff is inflicted on enemies by the Flail Rem's Revenge. Instead of taking health like the former, it simply reduces defense by 20. The Archmage dislikes the Cyborg due to the Cyborg's disregard of magic, as he is a technological creature. And on top of that, he thinks he's ignorant. And lastly, the confetti gun can be weaponized using Luxor's gift. Hooray! Thank you for making it to the end. If you enjoy this kind of content, I recommend a subscription. Anyway, go get on with your day, and goodbye.